Hello everyone, I'm Darren Magee, and following on from last time, today I'm going to continue to look at the concept of reactive abuse. What are the actual motivations behind deliberately trying to provoke others, and then focusing on their reactions? Well, to be fair, sometimes trying to figure out a narcissist's motivations can scrape your brain, because a lot of their behaviour doesn't really make any sense. But remember that narcissists tend to manipulate, coerce, and destabilise their victims. They like to keep other people off balance, and they seem to have this uncanny ability to make everyone else feel as if they're the one who's crazy, they're the one who is in error, or sometimes they are the one who is being abusive. And one of the many ways they do this is by focusing on the reactions to their insults, their lies, and their general bad behaviour. So they might poke, push, insult, embarrass. And sometimes they do this knowing it will provoke a defensive reaction in someone. But when it does, well, they'll either act like they're morally superior, they're bewildered, or they will pretend that they are the victim. So it becomes a vicious cycle that leaves people feeling frustrated, anxious, sometimes even feeling guilty. And due to a narcissist's performances, many people in narcissistic relationships find themselves wondering if they really are overreacting, wondering if they really are being unreasonable, and they can be constantly second-guessing themselves. So here we would see it as a tactic to destabilize others. Next, narcissists might lack empathy, but they can still be highly attuned to the emotions of other people. They're just not attuned in a healthy way. So they know how to use other people's emotions against them or to get what they want. But they can also be quite antagonistic. For instance, if they see that you're upset or angry at something they've done or said, well, they might just keep doing more of the same just to get a rise out of you. In some cases, it could be it's like they're addicted to the attention, even if it's negative. So provoking a reaction can be a way of either exercising or testing their power over you. Moving on, sometimes a narcissist will provoke a reaction for no other reason than they're bored. So they could be sarcastic, dismissive, or antagonistic. They might even make bizarre accusations just to feed off your reaction. Narcissists tend to thrive on chaos and drama. But if they are provoking just for their own entertainment, then maybe pay attention, because you just might see them smirk at your frustration, your embarrassment, or whatever it is they're trying to provoke in you. That being said, they might actually begin to get angry and frustrated if you're not reacting the way they want you to. Narcissists don't cope well with people who are being calm, assertive, or maybe just ignoring them whenever they demand attention, because this diminishes their sense of power and control, and that's when you typically see the provocation increase. Next, they could be deliberately trying to provoke a reaction because they're trying to see how far they can go. What are you prepared to put up with? Sometimes it is just a game to them. They just want to see how much you'll take before you push back. This is a common tactic with bullies. Many people think bullies only really go for those that they don't like or people they see as weak, but not always. Most bullies, well, they'll target pretty much everyone, but they continue to intimidate and dominate anyone where they think they'll get away with it. So they continue to provoke those they know won't push back, and they enjoy how powerful they feel. And sometimes this can be something of a slow process. They'll push a little bit at a time, maybe a little bit of sarcasm here, a barbed comment there. But if anyone does push back, well, they'll claim it was only a joke. If they start making unreasonable demands or barking orders and someone does push back, they'll claim that person is being unreasonable. Another aspect of this can be they deliberately provoke in order to learn what your triggers are. They want to know what buttons to push in future in order to manipulate you. Here we would see a Machiavellian side to narcissism, learning what's important to you, what excites you, what upsets you, and so on. And they keep that information for whenever they need it. For instance, if they know that your family is important to you, well, they will insult and criticize your family. Next, sometimes a narcissist will do just whatever it is they like, not necessarily to cause a reaction, but because they just feel entitled to do so. Because they believe they're superior and they deserve special treatment, so they behave any way they like. But whenever someone does push back, this can outrage them. How dare you challenge them? How dare you call them out on their behaviour? Don't you know who they are? Their outrage at your reaction is evidence of how cruel and abusive you're being. Either that, or they might play the victim, their fear, their upset, well, that's evidence of how aggressive you're being. They feel justified to treat others however they like because they believe they're special, so whenever others do stand up to them, it's like an affront to their false sense of superiority. Some cases they may be so genuinely deluded that they do believe they are being badly treated for not getting their own way, not being allowed to control or dominate. Another reason for the focus on other people's reactions is purely just to deflect attention away from their own behaviour. Narcissistic people tend to have an unhealthy relationship with responsibility and accountability, so focusing on other people's reactions to their behaviour can be a maladaptive defence mechanism, something they've learned over time to avoid reality. So in cases like this, it's not necessarily a deliberate tactic to provoke a reaction, but more their own reaction to being challenged. It's a way to protect their sense of self, so they deflect everything away from themselves. Everyone else is the problem. Sometimes they behave as if they are just innocent bystanders in their own lives. Next, a narcissist might deliberately provoke a reaction and then focus on the reaction in order to condition people not to answer back. And again, this can be a process that takes place over a period of time. They slowly erode people's boundaries and lead them to believe they're being unreasonable, hurtful, and selfish. For example, it's playing the victim because you raised your voice. Don't you know that their last partner had anger issues and you have triggered their trauma? Or they might show outrage at you having boundaries in the first place because you're clearly being unfair and unreasonable. They can even show a feigned confusion. They have no idea why you should be angry at being humiliated publicly. And sometimes it can get as bizarre as you are clearly overreacting. I was only lying. But one way or another, they grind people down and they make it more and more difficult for them to assert themselves in any way. I think a good indicator of narcissism in the early stages of a relationship is to see how they react to your no. Moving on, some narcissists might deliberately provoke a reaction just to get you into trouble. There could be a series of passive-aggressive comments, sarcasm, or just being dismissive. At work, there could be a series of nonsensical word salad emails that have half the organisation copied into it just to keep you confused, off balance, and defensive. There can be constant criticism and sabotage, but it's all framed as if they are only following procedures and you're not doing it right. There can also be gotcha questions, and these are aimed at trying to make you say something specific so they can report you for bullying or maybe some kind of misconduct. Now, in some cases, if they can't get you to say what they want you to say, well, they might twist, misrepresent, or exaggerate what you did say. They'll make straw man arguments, try to get you that way. Again, though, they are looking for a reaction. Whenever you react emotionally or defensively, that's often what they focus on. That's what they report you for. Lastly, narcissists are self-focused. Everything is about them. And as I previously mentioned, they lack empathy. But they also lack insight and the ability to self-reflect. If they are focusing on your reaction to their behaviours, it could be because from their perspective, you really are the bad guy. Because they tend to do whatever it is they like to you, and they don't really care about how it hurts. And yet, they hold you accountable for how they feel. So, from a narcissist's perspective, calling them out for their lies is abusive. Not letting them get what they want is oppressive. Not colluding with their deluded fantasies is invalidating. Their version of themselves is rarely based in reality and as such is very fragile. So whenever you show that they aren't always right, they're no more special than anyone else, and that maybe you have rights as well, well, you are challenging a very fragile sense of self and they will do whatever they can to protect themselves. They can be cruel, vindictive, and throw out any accusation they can in the hope that something will either stick or make you back down. So, there are just some of the reasons why narcissists provoke others just to get a reaction, and why they focus on those reactions rather than their own behaviour. I do hope you find this interesting, but if there's anything I've missed, please feel free to use the comments section or always some interesting conversations start from these videos. Next time, I'm going to be looking at how to handle yourself, how to manage your boundaries whenever narcissists are trying to provoke you. In other words, how to handle reactive abuse. But in the meantime, please consider subscribing to my channel, and until next time, thanks for watching.